So today I want to explain a couple things to you guys about words and about Essential Standard 7.5.4.4. So I have this little clip of this really great poem that has been around forever called Jabberwocky. And we're not going to read it right now, but if you just scan through the first couple of lines and look at some of the words, you might be pretty confused. And I want you to think about these three questions. What happens when you don't know the meaning of a word? Do you notice the word choices that an author makes? And do you think about the impact of a word and how much a word affects or influences your thinking as you read? And that's really what 7.5.4.4 is about. So that's what I want to talk about. I firmly believe that most musicians really understand the impact that a single word can have in a text, whether it be a song or a poem or whether it be a book. Eminem has this great video we'll watch where he talks about words being like ammo, ammunition. He stacks ammo, so he has little bullets to shoot at people in his, word wars and that sort of thing, his rap battles. And I think that's a really powerful display of what words can do, and that's really what this essential standard is about. So here's what the essential standard 7.5.4.4 says. It says that you will be able to determine the meaning of words and phrases as they are used in a text, including figurative, connotative, and technical meanings. And you're also going to need to be able to analyze the impact of a specific word choice on meaning and tone. So your goal, my goal, our goal is to kind of reword this and make this more understandable. So there's a process that I would go through to do that, and that's what I want to lead you through right now. So the first thing that I would do is look at the very beginning part of this standard, determine the meaning of words and phrases. Well, to me, if you reword that, it basically means if you're going to determine, it means you're going to be able to figure something out, figure out what words mean, or what words and phrases, or several words, or groups of words. You're going to be able to figure out what they mean, all right? We want you to be able to figure out what words mean when you don't know what they mean, obviously. So, and then, as they are used in a text. So basically, we want you to be able to figure out what words and groups of words mean when you're reading. Okay? That's the first, half of the target here. The other half of it specifically addresses some different types of words that you might come across and be a little confused about. And so that could mean figurative language, connotative language, and technical language. And so we need to make sure that you understand what those things mean, all right? So I kind of went through a little bit of breakdown here, thinking about the word figurative. If you actually were to go back to your personal flex doc, these definitions are all in here. You already should have looked at them and focused on them and learned them. And if you haven't done that yet, you really need to go back to those. So when we look at the definition of figurative, it says words, phrases, and ideas that are used with a more imaginative meaning in order to create a special effect. They are not to be taken literally or at their basic meaning. All right? So I was thinking about The Outsiders. We just finished reading this chapter today, the one that makes everybody go, ooh! And right before Johnny, he says to Ponyboy, stay golden, Ponyboy. And I was thinking about that, stay gold. And stay gold, Johnny's not asking Ponyboy to turn a yellowish, orangish hue, right? He doesn't actually mean to turn into the color gold. He doesn't mean to become a coin, like a gold coin or anything like that. He's referring back to that poem, and we discussed that poem in class and how stay gold, that poem about how nothing gold can stay, that poem is about how nothing that's good in life can ever just stay good. Things will be good maybe for a little short amount of time, and then man, something happens, right? And that's kind of the roller coaster of life. And so that's figurative. Johnny didn't literally mean for Ponyboy to stay gold. It was a metaphor for something else. It was an illusion, an image for something else. So that's an example of figurative language, and we want you to be able to figure that kind of thing out. So that's an important piece to this standard. The next part of it says that you need to be able to understand connotative language. And so connotative refers to the suggested word meaning that surrounds the word. It is the feeling or emotion behind the word. So I looked at another section of The Outsiders, and this is after Johnny, he dies and Dallas gets really upset, and it says whirling suddenly he slammed back against the wall. And I just was thinking about how Dally has such a strong reaction to Johnny's death. It's not just that he was silently crying these tears, but he was whirling suddenly. He slammed back against the wall. Those are very powerful word choices. Whirling, suddenly, slammed. S.E. Hinton chose those words on purpose. And the thing is that she could have said something like, Dally quickly turned and leaned against the wall. But that does not have the same effect. That has a much weaker, a much less dramatic effect, right? So connotative is about looking at the feelings and the emotions behind word choices and understanding that authors choose specific words to really make an impact and be dramatic or be funny or whatever it may be, get a point across. So we need to be able to pay attention to those things. And the next one is technical. Technical language refers to specific words and phrases that are used by people who are in a specialized field or area. And I was trying to think of examples with The Outsiders, and I kind of failed. I was thinking about East Side and West Side, and I was thinking about how here in Minnesota or even in Minneapolis, if someone says the East or West Side, they're going to imagine something different than the people in The Outsiders would imagine. The word rumble is kind of a technical meaning because it refers to a specific skill or event or action that people only in that kind of area would know about. We don't call it rumbles. That's language that's kind of outdated. But then I really thought putty is a great example. The word putty. When you think about the word putty, you might think about silly putty. But someone who builds houses might think about the putty that's used to patch a wall. Or a dentist might think about the putty that's used to fill cavities. So the word putty has different meanings because of technical language. And so that's what that is really referring to when it talks about technical language. And so the second part of this standard says that you need to be able to analyze the impact of a specific word choice on meaning and tone. The impact of a word choice. Gosh, I love this line in The Outsiders right before the rumble begins. Derry has already stepped forward and said, "I'll fight anybody." And that other guy, I forget who it was, his old football buddy, Paul Holden, he comes forward and he says, "I'll fight you." And they're kind of waiting for who's going to throw the first punch. And it says in the text, the silence grew heavier. And I love that line. It's very vivid and it's very dramatic, and it helps to kind of build that suspense. And the reason is because I think it's silence can't grow. It's personification. Silence cannot grow, but we imagine, it's very easy to imagine this silence getting bigger and getting heavier. Silence doesn't weigh anything. So for it to grow and to get heavy, is like, I picture like this cloud filling up with condensation, and it's about to start storming. It's growing bigger and bigger by the second, and it's about to downpour. And so when we analyze the impact of a specific word choice on meaning and tone, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at you being able to look at the word choices that an author has and understanding the purpose behind them and how they are creating a specific feeling or a specific meaning. So I'm going to wrap it up by just going back to the standard. The standard says two things. Determine the meaning of words and phrases as they are used in a text, including figurative, connotative, and technical meanings. And then analyze the impact of a specific word choice on meaning and tone. And so what I did is I just reworded it. Sorry about that. I got to fix this. I just reworded it in my own words, and I wrote, figure out what a word or words mean in a text when they are not literal. Choose because of an emotion or come from a specific place. Chosen because of an emotion or come from a specific place. And so that, I felt like, kind of summarized what this one is about up here. And then this one down here, also we need to think about the effect that a word has on the text. That kind of summarizes and rewords this part of the standard here. So this is your goal for Unit 2. You need to be able to do these two things right here. And so that's what we're going to work on, and that's what this informational text personal flex sheet is for. So move your way through here, study, and do the activities and assignments, and keep track of your learning, and you should be in a good place to go by the end of the unit. Thanks.